Alrighty, hello boys and girls, and welcome back to the Art Lab. Today we are going to be continuing to learn about some of our elements of art. So we've already learned about color, and today we're going to start with line. Now here's a good question. What is a line? How do you define the word line? You could say, well, a line is a straight line between 2 points, but that doesn't really work because you can't have the word be inside the definition. What is a line? Here's how Mr. D defines it. A line is a mark that you make with your pencil that goes in between 2 points. So we have here a red point and a blue point, and I can pretend to take out my pencil and make a mark in between, and there is our line. So basically, it's just a dark mark that you make with your pencil that goes between 2 points. There are lots of different kinds of lines. We just learned about a straight line, but there is also a zigzag line, a curvy line, a loopy line, a dotted line, and a dashed line. There are some other kinds of lines too, but these are the most important ones to learn and the ones you'll probably use more frequently than all of the others. So, let's look at what we're going to do on our paper today. And for today's lesson, all you will need is 1 or 2 sheets of paper. Just plain white paper or notebook paper should work fine. And what we're going to do is fold it in half, just like this, hamburger style. So it opens up like a book. And now we have a sheet of paper with 2 sides. On the left side, up here, I'm going to write the word line. And so I'm going to practice some of my different kinds of lines. We have straight lines. Let's go up and down. They can go diagonal. So these are called straight lines. Now we can do some zigzags. We will call these zigzags. I'm going to draw a little line just to break them up so it's easier to see. So we've got straight lines and we've got zigzags. Our next type of line is curvy. So we can draw some curvy lines. Curvy is C-U-R-V-Y. Now we'll do some loopy lines. Basically, you're just drawing the lowercase letter e over and over and over and over again. E. Loopy is L-O-O-P-Y. And then we have dotted and dashed lines, so I'll just draw some dashes. Dashes, D-A-S-H-E-S, and dotted, D-O-T-T-E-D. So here are some of our different kinds of lines, and if you want, you can go ahead and draw a nice line down the middle of your page. Separate the 2 sides. Now let's go back and look at some of the things that we can do with lines. So we can draw some simple things, like this rose here. You can see it's basically drawn with some of those loop-de-loo lines we were just practicing. This lightning bolt here has zigzag lines. You can also draw circles and smiley faces. A circle is just one curved line that curves back on itself. A smiley face is, two small circles inside of a big circle and one curvy line inside the circle. Here's a couple other fun ones. There's a butterfly that's all drawn with one line if you follow it. Do 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 do. Yoink. So that was all drawn with one line, and same with this horse here. And these two are actually by a famous artist called Picasso. We can also draw some crazy complex things with lines. We could draw a very detailed butterfly or a detailed rose. Here's a winged dragon. Or we can draw some 3D shapes. We can draw shapes using lines, and shapes make up every picture that we can possibly see. Let's see, if we go back, let's look for some shapes real quick. You see a circle here, there's a square there. These butterfly wings are kind of shaped like triangles. So if you look, you can see almost everything is made up of shapes. Now let's talk about some shapes. So what is a shape? The way that we define a shape is that it's a flat, meaning like a pancake or a piece of paper, something two-dimensional is flat. It's a flat object that has empty space on the inside. So you can see inside my circle here, the blue is the empty part. And it has an outline. See, the green is the outline. So a shape, the outline has to have a beginning meet the end. So if you were to start right here, you could follow the line, and it would end right where it started. Shapes have outlines that connect. Let's get to know our shapes a little bit. So here are a few different ones. Triangle, square, rectangle, circle, rhombus or a diamond. This one is a hexagon. You see that whenever you look at a beehive. The honeycomb is always hexagon shaped. An oval, which is like a circle that someone stretched out a little bit. An octagon, like a stop sign that you see out on the road. And a trapezoid and a parallelogram. Those are a little bit more complex shapes, but they are useful. And here are some other fun shapes. In here we have a star, a ring, an arrow, a cross, a crescent, a heart. Now, these aren't shapes in the traditional sense in that these are not measurable shapes like you'll learn in geometry class, but they're still fun to know. So just real quick, let's take a break and draw some shapes. So on the other side of my paper, I'm going to write shapes up at the top. And I bet you boys and girls know most of these, but just draw them again so you have them in your arsenal. Draw a circle, square. A square has 4 sides. Triangle has 3. Draw a diamond, which is kind of like a sideways square if you look at it. If you draw a diamond and then you turn your paper, it kind of becomes a square, doesn't it? And the square becomes a diamond. There's a rectangle, which is like a square, but one side is longer. We can draw ourselves an oval. How about a heart? A moon is a pretty easy shape. It's just one big C with a little c inside of it. Here's how you draw a star. You start from the bottom and draw like you're going to go across. Now start from down here. Well, actually, don't start from down here. Leave it like an A like this, and then draw 2 dots on either side, just like this. So it's like a point with a dot on either side. Now we just connect these parts here and one across. And that completes our star. Here is a hexagon. These can be a little tricky to draw, but try your best. They have 6 sides. A cross is a little tricky. It's like you're going to draw a square, but you stop right here, then you start drawing another square, then you stop right here, then you start drawing another square, and you stop right there, and you draw one more almost square. Alright, now that we've got some good lines and shapes in our arsenal, let's keep moving forward. What do we call 3D shapes? You can see in the background here, I think I'll go ahead and give this one away. It's called a cube. What do we call a cube? They're all part of a group of 3D shapes and they have a name. We call them forms. 3D shapes are called forms. And if you think about it, whenever you're sculpting something, like with Play-Doh or with clay, you're forming something with your hands. You're forming in 3D shape. So here are our 3D forms, and we're going to take some time now and learn how to draw them. So on the back of our paper, we can go ahead and flip it over. These are going to take some practice, so we want a whole side. Up at the top, I'm going to write the word forms. F-O-R-M-S. And we'll start with the most basic form, which is a sphere. Now, how you make a sphere is pretty simple. You start with a circle. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to make a plus sign out of 2 ovals on the inside. What do you mean by that, Mr. D? I'll show you. So here's my plus sign. And here are my 2. Oh. Might not be able to see. There we go. There's my plus sign, and here go my 2 ovals. There's 1 oval. There's 2 ovals. Can you see it? It sort of looks like a 3D sphere. If I erase my original plus sign a little bit here, it starts to look even more 3D. You can see that it kind of seems like it's spinning around. But if you want to make a sphere even a little more simpler, you can draw just a circle. And then make a crescent shape on just one side. So there's our crescent shape. And then over here, we'll just draw a little circle. And there is our sphere. We can shade in this side if we want. That'll make it look a little bit more like a sphere. And sphere is spelled S-P-H-E-R-E. Probably go ahead and start with a square. That's a safe bet to make. Now once we have our square, there's 2 different ways that we could make a cube. The first way, and it's kind of like making the plus inside of this circle up here, is we're going to put a dot cube. And what this dot is going to be is the bottom left corner of another square. So I'm going to draw another square just like that. Now you can just connect these 2 edges together and you will have a cube. There's another way that's even more simple. You can start with a square, and then you can draw 3 lines. 1, 2, 3. And it's important that they're all pointing the same direction. So if you look at my lines, they're all pointing towards the top right corner of my paper up here. They're all going the same exact way. Now if I connect these lines, I get a cube. And if you want, you can shade in one side, and that makes it look a little more 3D. Alright, so we've got a sphere, and we've got a cube. Now let's move on to a pyramid. So if this one in 2D is a circle, and this one in 2D is a square, then a pyramid will be a triangle. And there are a few different ways you can draw pyramids, but here are what Mr. D thinks are the two easiest. You can start with a diamond, then you can draw a point directly above the diamond, and then you just connect the points of the diamond, or I'm sorry, the corners of the diamond to the point that you drew up in the air, just like this. So there's one pyramid. Oh. Let's try another way. You can also just draw a triangle, and then bring a little line up from the corner of your triangle. Then connect the top to the end of that line right there. You can shade in this side too if you'd like. There's even another way to do a pyramid. You can start with a triangle, and it'll work a little better if it's a short, fat-looking triangle, sort of like that one. And then we'll put a point up here again. And there's another pyramid. We can keep going for a few more, I think. On this side, I'm going to do a different one that's made with a circle. Let's do a cone. Oh, first, before we move on, I'm going to write the word pyramid down here. P-Y-R-A-M-I-D. Pyramid. Pyramid, cube, sphere. And now we are going to do cone. And cones are really easy to draw. You just draw a circle for the base. Then you draw one point. And then you connect it. And that is how you draw the base of your ice cream cone. Like if you were going to put the ice cream on top, this is the starting point. You can also draw a cone just by drawing a V or an A shape. It doesn't matter whether it's upside down or right side up. And then just drawing a curved line across like this. On the back side, which you can't see, that's where the other side of the oval connects. So that's a cone, and cones are pretty easy to draw. Now we'll do a cylinder, sort of like a soda can. So to draw a cylinder, you see it's got a circle on the top, and it's got a circle on the bottom as well. So a cylinder, there's our circle on the top, and our circle on the bottom is made just by connecting it like this. We'll take the two edges and connect them. And this is what it would look like if it was transparent or see-through, so you can see the backside here. But if you were going to draw it just like it's sitting in front of you, just one circle on top, then straight lines going down, and then one curved line across the back that connects it. Because this one back here you can't really see. And we'll pretend this is our soda pop, and I'll put a little soda popper lid right there. Alright, so there's our cone, and you know, just real quick I'll draw some lines in between. And cylinder is spelled C-Y-L-I-N-D-E-R. Cylinder. And I think we can squeeze just one more on here, and we'll do a rectangular prism. This one's a long word. Rectangular, R-E-C-T-A-N-G-U-L-A-R. Rectangular prism. So, all of these shapes have special names like sphere or cone or pyramid, but what if we just took our cube and we stretched it out a little bit so that it was a rectangle on one side instead of a square? Well, we wouldn't call it a rectangulube. We would probably call it something like a rectangular prism. Technically, all of these are prisms of different shapes. But a rectangular prism is a prism that's made with a rectangle. So we can do actually the exact same thing that we just did with our cube. We can draw a point in the middle, and that can become the bottom left corner of our new rectangular prism. We can draw another rectangle that overlaps it, just like this. And bada bing bada boom, we have a rectangular prism. And Mr. D is going to pause himself for just a moment so that I can talk to you guys about what the names of all of these different types of prisms are. So if this is a rectangular prism, if we look over here, this would be a triangular prism. Over here we have the cube, and you might call that a square prism. A cylinder is just a circular prism. You get the idea. I just wanted to share that with you guys and keep going. Now, believe it or not, this will work for any shape that you can imagine. So even if I have a made-up shape like this one right here, if I can copy it exactly, starting like right here, look what we can do. And this takes some practice and some skill, but I'm going to copy it just like that. So I have two of the exact same shape laying on top of each other. If I connect these lines in between the two, I will create a 3D shape. I've just created my very own 3D shape.